It's Monday afternoon, the 21st of September, and we got the pieces for the grain head. I'm working on kind of getting pieces switched over from the old one to the new one. We've got the skid plate all loose on there so we can get the bolts out because there's a bunch of the carriage heads that get pinched underneath. And figuring out the alignment on everything with the ball joint and stuff. I think we're gonna try to be a little smarter about how we do it this time. We might try to pull out the stainless on the top, but if not, definitely going to take out the skid plate because I think that'll make it easy. We're making some headway. Got the fixed stabilizer all up there and the new skid plate in and the poly back on it. Probably should have really got a new skid plate for that, I think, new poly piece also. And got the sickle pulled out. We did try it before we pulled the sickle out, and it seemed like everything was a lot better than it was. There may be a little bit of fine-tuning yet, but I think things are moving in a good direction. Still waiting on a wheel, so that's going to keep us from doing anything in the fields for a little bit. But there's plenty on the to-do list, so I don't know that it's going to be a problem. The wheel is supposed to be here tomorrow now, promised. So I'm hoping that we can get that either put on tomorrow sometime or hopefully first thing Wednesday morning at the latest. And might be able to do something here towards the end of the week, either some of the early beans or possibly some corn. I'm going to wait to put this back skid plate on. I need to get zerks put in here, and one of the ones that came out, the threads are pretty screwed up on, and it's a metric zerk that I don't have. So probably going to get a zerk tomorrow and then get that all buttoned back up. In the meantime, so every year we always go through and just sort of like pre-season look over the sickle and any sections that look worn or there's teeth missing on, we just go ahead and replace. So I'm just going to go along here and take soapstone probably and just mark the ones that look sketchy, and then we'll get those switched out and put the sickle back in and lined up. Probably a few things that we need to adjust a little bit after putting that new skid plate on, and I haven't set the spring tension very carefully yet. It seems like it's maybe sticking up just a little bit on this end, so we may have a little bit of tweaking to do on a couple things there. I need to check the flow on this wobble gearbox and lube a few things, mostly on the reel where the grease zerks are. But things are moving forward. So I just went down the line and kind of marked the ones that I thought needed to be replaced. We'll kind of make a second pass at it and look at the other side a little bit. Basically anything where if I kind of run my finger along and it doesn't feel sharp, or if there's like gouges where it's hit some metal or something like that, like this one's missing some teeth, we'll go ahead and replace them. Actually, that one's really fairly sharp other than a couple spots there. This head has been converted to a Schumacher sickle, SCH. They use a little bit different system than the OEM John Deere stuff, and the guards tend to not bend. They will break and cause a lot less trouble than when Dad used to run the John Deere sickles. So I think this is either the second or third head I think that he's converted over to the Schumacher drive. Still has the John Deere wobble box. Would like to have a Schumacher, but they're expensive. We're closing on at 8 o'clock and got the combine pulled in. Mosquitoes were definitely coming out. So I think we got everything put back together on this deal and ended up kind of tweaking some stuff a little bit to try to get the cutter bar a little more dead straight across. And I got the sickle sections replaced. We got that back in. Need to put the bolts in still, but things are moving forward. I need to do a little more lubing, greasing the bushings on the reel mostly, and I think there's a few spots on the ends where the bearings for the auger turn or some tighteners or something over there. But that shouldn't be too big of a deal. Should be able to get this finished up hopefully in an hour or so tomorrow, I would guess. And then probably might put the corn head on and start going through it, or I've got plenty of other stuff too to kind of go through. So I don't know exactly what order we'll do everything in, but probably going to be an action-packed day, and hopefully we might get a wheel. Good morning. It's Tuesday, September 22nd, and it's probably going to be a pretty busy day today. Action-packed. I'm going to try to get as much stuff ready to go for harvest as I can. I think probably what that means is we're going to finish up the grain platform, get it completely ready to go, pulled off the combine, and then work on some other stuff until I get most of everything else done, or until we get the wheel replaced on the combine, so we don't have a head on there to have to deal with when we do that. I also got the parts for the four-wheeler, hopefully. I don't know if I'm going to put them in today. I need to do a little bit more studying, especially on the carburetor kit, to figure out what I'm doing. But hopefully between the two of these, so I ended up getting a fuel pump rebuild kit and then also a carb kit. I'm hoping that that will solve the problem of gas getting into the oil. Probably in the process, I'm going to probably drain out the gassy oil that's in it, and at least check the oil filter to see if there's any metal chunks, if any pieces of those springs that blew apart on the centrifugal clutch have migrated to the filter yet. I unfortunately don't have another filter, so I probably will keep running that one for the time being, and then we'll probably do an oil change after a few miles and get everything completely changed out then. Unfortunately, the whole gas in the oil thing happened after putting about 20 miles on it, I think, since we got the clutch fixed. The oil that was in it was pretty much new, and probably there could still be metal pieces to migrate to the filter, I guess, is what I'm saying. So, let's get busy. Got the combine pulled out in front of the shop and the head situated at a comfortable working height. So mostly just need to kind of look things over, kind of check some chain tension, which that seems not too bad, maybe a little bit loose. So there's just 3 bolts in and that sprocket will slide down. There's some bushings on the reel that I need to grease, and need to look a few things over. I did get some new reel teeth. I think, yeah, like that one is pretty loose, so we may swap out some of those end ones. It's possible that this may be the one that haunted my dreams last fall and that we switched out with one in the middle of the head somewhere, or the other end possibly. I think those are just on the ends, the ones without the little dividery deals. And just need to kind of look things over. We had this shield off a little bit yesterday, but I think there's a grease zerk on this belt tightener, and just need to kind of look things over, make sure there's no loose bearings and any pulleys, and that the belt looks okay, which it seems like it's not too bad. It's got a few kind of spots, but nothing too serious, so I think it'll be okay. We may do a little bit of adjustment since we kind of messed with some of the stuff under the head. There is some adjustment. This spring is nominally supposed to kind of absorb the shock of the wobble blocks changing directions back and forth. So that's what drives the sickle that oscillates back and forth, that cuts the soybeans off. And need to get everything hooked up, make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to, that we have the electronics all going for the header control, and then hopefully we'll take that off and on to the next. As usual, things took longer than I hoped, but we got the grain head, I think, ready to go, other than one thing that we were going to try to do on the head trailer, and then the way it lined up didn't work. So the game plan now is to work on wagons and augers, and then hopefully get that wheel switched out on the combine. So mostly just need to check tire pressures and grease pivots, which are mostly on the front end with the wheels that turn and everything, and then we'll check brakes. So on these big wagons, they have basically, I think it's called surge brakes. So it's hydraulic brakes on the rear wheels, and there's a reservoir up in the tongue with a weight. So when it senses that you're slowing down, or when the inertia of that weight pulls against the piston, it applies the brakes essentially. So it's purely mechanical, or mechanical hydraulic, no electronics involved, but gives you some braking to be able to slow down, because when you have this full of corn, there's quite a few pounds there. Hopefully shouldn't have anything too crazy to work on these, and since we mostly just use these from field to bins anymore, they don't get a lot of miles really, but they are handy to use in certain spots. The new wheel came in, but the tire shop service truck is kind of backed up, so to expedite the process and I guess save a little bit of money also, we're going to pull the wheel off and then just take the wheel up there to get the tire swapped over. So we've got the combine jacked up and got the wheels, or the bolts all broken loose. We're just going to go get a trailer to get it set on and get it swapped out. I think this is the first time the wheel has been off. I didn't look at the other side yet, but might be the first time either wheel has been off. Either that or it's been touched up. It's about 3,000 engine hours, a little bit more than that I think on the combine, so it's had a pretty good run I think. It's about 4 o'clock, so the late afternoon update is I've got this auger just about ready to go. Both wagons gone through, greased, checked brakes, checked tires, checked fuel bearings. Seem to be all good on that stuff. We've got the wheel off the combine. Going back, I just dropped the wheel off because the tire shop is pretty busy. So we're going to head back here kind of at the end of their day and then grab that and get it put back on here hopefully a little bit later here yet this evening. And then have been working on this auger. I guess we put the diesel tank in the back of the pickup also. So we spent a little bit of time on that, but gone through and have been greasing all the pivot points, which it looks like I missed one on the top of that hydraulic cylinder. And with the swing hopper, there's a whole bunch of universal joints in the driveline that have grease zerks and some bushings on the shaft and a couple of gearboxes. There's a gearbox right here and then another gearbox down here. And just pulled off this cover to lubricate this chain, which is quite possibly the heaviest chain on the farm, I would guess. It's pretty beefy stuff. I didn't measure to see exactly what size it is, but bigger than anything on the combine, I think. And then we'll hook the PTO shaft up and just kind of turn the auger on quick and make sure that everything is turning and acting smooth. And should be good to go on that. I need to check tires, I guess, still. But hopefully about 5 or 10 minutes left to get this wrapped up and then go after the wheel for the combine. We've got a shiny new yellow wheel. I'll try to take the camera out. Dad already took the old wheel to the iron pile. But definitely glad we caught it when we did. This one seems to be a little thicker in the center. I don't know if the rim itself is any thicker or not. Where it cracked before was kind of right along there. But anyway, one more thing off the to-do list. I think I'm going to go ahead and get some stuff switched around, try to get the corn head on this, get the drill off the 7220, and get some things rearranged in one of the storage sheds before it gets dark here, and then keep plugging away tomorrow. Victory, I guess. We're closing in at 8 o'clock, but got the corn head on the combine, got the grain drill off, stuff all back in the shed, and ready to go for tomorrow.